The king of basketball just made a decision that sent shockwaves through the NBA, but what happened behind the scenes might be even more shocking than what we saw on the surface. LeBron James picked up his $52.6 million player option with the Lakers, but according to explosive reports, the organization never even offered him an extension and completely blindsided him with news that would change the franchise forever. This isn't just another contract story. This is about respect, power, and a relationship that might be more fractured than anyone realized. While fans celebrated LeBron becoming the first player in NBA history to play 23 seasons, sources close to the situation were revealing a very different narrative about what's really happening in Los Angeles. The decision to exercise that massive player option wasn't just about money. LeBron's agent Rich Paul made it clear that his client is closely monitoring every single move the Lakers make, essentially putting the franchise on notice. The message was unmistakable: prove you're serious about winning, or this relationship might be over sooner than anyone expects. But here's where things get really interesting. While LeBron was deciding his future, the Lakers were apparently making moves without keeping their biggest star in the loop. The Buss family, who had owned the Lakers since 1979, was quietly negotiating what would become the most expensive franchise sale in NBA history. Mark Walter, the billionaire owner of the LA Dodgers, agreed to purchase a majority stake in the Lakers for a staggering $10 billion valuation. This wasn't just a business transaction, it was a complete shift in how one of the NBA's most storied franchises would operate. Walter had already owned a minority stake, but this deal gave him control over the purple and gold empire. The timing of this sale announcement raised serious questions. How does a franchise not inform their biggest star about an ownership change that would fundamentally alter the organization's direction? Industry insiders were buzzing about the apparent lack of communication, and it painted a picture of a relationship that might be more strained than anyone publicly acknowledged. Sources around the league started sharing details that made the situation even more complex. Reports emerged suggesting that the Lakers want to move on from LeBron as soon as possible. This wasn't just speculation, this was coming from plugged-in NBA insiders who had their ears to the ground in Los Angeles. The contradiction was impossible to ignore. On one hand, LeBron had just committed to returning for another season. On the other hand, the organization that benefited from his presence was allegedly looking for an exit strategy. The disconnect between public statements and private conversations was becoming more obvious by the day. LeBron's historic 23rd season was supposed to be a celebration of longevity and excellence. He averaged 24.4 points, 8.2 assists, and 7.8 rebounds during the 2024-25 season, playing in 70 games and proving that Father Time still hasn't caught up to him. But instead of focusing on these incredible achievements, everyone was talking about what might be his final season in purple and gold. The trade rumors started swirling almost immediately. With a $52.6 million salary, LeBron's contract was both a blessing and a curse. Very few teams could afford that number, and even fewer would be willing to take on that financial commitment for a player entering his 23rd season, regardless of how well he was still performing. CBS Sports reported that while trading LeBron might make sense from certain perspectives, the actual conversations were dead on the vine. The combination of his massive salary, limited destinations, and the complexity of moving a player of his stature made any potential deal extremely difficult to execute. But LeBron had built-in protection for exactly this type of situation. His current contract includes a no-trade clause, meaning he has complete control over any potential move. This wasn't just a financial safeguard, it was a power play that ensured he would have the final say in how his career would end. The no-trade clause also sent a message to the new ownership about who really held the cards in this relationship. While Mark Walter might have paid $10 billion for the franchise, LeBron's contract terms meant that any major decisions about the team's direction would still need to go through him. Industry observers noted that Walter's track record with the Dodgers suggested he was serious about winning. His willingness to spend money and invest in championship-caliber talent had transformed the baseball team into a perennial contender. The question was whether that same approach would translate to basketball and whether it would be enough to satisfy LeBron's championship expectations. LeBron's decision to closely monitor the Lakers' moves wasn't just about contracts and roster construction. It was about respect and communication. After everything he had accomplished in Los Angeles, including delivering the franchise's first championship in a decade during the 2020 bubble season, he deserved to be included in major organizational decisions. The lack of communication about the ownership sale highlighted deeper issues within the organization. How does a franchise operating at the highest level of professional sports fail to keep their most important player informed about changes that would affect the entire organization's future? The situation became even more intriguing when considering LeBron's son Bronny, who was drafted by the Lakers in 2024. The historic father-son duo had already made headlines, but the family connection to the organization added another layer of complexity to any potential separation. Some analysts suggested that the Lakers' apparent desire to move on from LeBron might be connected to their long-term planning. With new ownership came new priorities, and those priorities might not align with building around a player who, despite his incredible performance, would be 41 years old during the 2025-26 season. The financial implications of LeBron's contract were impossible to ignore. His $52.6 million player option represented a massive investment for any franchise, and with new ownership evaluating every aspect of the organization's operations, questions about return on investment were inevitable. But dismissing LeBron's value based purely on age and salary would be a mistake that could haunt the Lakers for years. His leadership, experience, and ability to attract other star players remained valuable assets that couldn't be easily replaced. The challenge was finding the right balance between respecting his contributions and planning for the future. The drama surrounding LeBron's relationship with the Lakers reflected broader issues about player empowerment and organizational communication in modern professional sports. Players, especially those of LeBron's caliber, expected to be treated as partners in building winning organizations, not just employees who could be moved around at will. As the situation continued to evolve, one thing became clear. The relationship between LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers had reached a critical juncture. The decisions made over the next few months would determine whether this partnership could survive the transition to new ownership or whether it would end in a way that nobody saw coming. The basketball world was watching to see how this drama would unfold, knowing that the resolution would have implications far beyond just one player and one franchise. The stakes were higher than ever, and the outcome would shape the future of the NBA's most iconic franchise and its most recognizable star. What happens next will determine whether LeBron's 23rd season becomes a triumphant final chapter in Los Angeles or the beginning of the end of one of the most significant partnerships in modern basketball history. The clock is ticking, and everyone involved knows that the decisions made now will echo through basketball history for generations to come. The most fascinating aspect of this entire situation is how it perfectly encapsulates the modern NBA's power dynamics. We're witnessing a clash between old-school franchise operations and player empowerment in real time. LeBron's monitoring of the Lakers' moves isn't just about basketball, it's about setting a precedent for how superstars should be treated by their organizations. Mark Walter's $10 billion investment came with enormous expectations, but those expectations might not align with keeping a 41-year-old player, regardless of his legendary status. The new owner's vision for the franchise could fundamentally reshape everything we thought we knew about the Lakers' future. The irony is undeniable. LeBron delivered the Lakers their first championship in a decade, yet he's reportedly being pushed toward the exit. This disconnect between achievement and appreciation might define how we remember this era of Lakers basketball. The Kings' reign in Los Angeles could end not with celebration, but with controversy that nobody saw coming.